So welcome to video 6 and our introduction to Unix. This part covers our usage of what's called Slurm, or simply a job process management system. So not really essential until you're doing very memory intensive tasks. So we talked about before the module logistics, why you should learn the command line interface, the server setup, how to log into the server, how to transfer files, and this will let you now execute either many tasks or memory intensive tasks in a more sophisticated manner. So Slurm stands for Simple Linux Utility for Resource Management. It manages the jobs in the clusters and allows appropriate allocation of computing power based on the number of tasks that are presented to it. So you might have a bunch of users and they submit a range of different jobs, and these are sent to the queue and they're executed based on things like the number and computing power that's needed, and also the length of time that's required to complete the job and the demands that are more widely on the system. So these things all matter, that the number of threads, cores, CPUs, and nodes are effectively the same thing, and that boils down to the computing power that's available. This storage and RAM are also assessed. And the time and graphical processing units can also be a criterion. So basically, Slurm manages the jobs that are sent to the cluster and submits the jobs from the queue based on the resources required by each job and the availability of them within the cluster. So there's 8 main compute nodes on the server. Each has 2 CPUs and 2 terabytes of memory, which is a lot of storage memory. Each of these CPUs has 64 cores, and each core has 2 threads. So for most simple tasks that are routine, you would only need 1 thread to actually complete them. So although threads, cores, CPUs, and nodes are slightly different, in simple terms, they can be considered the same here and there for computing power. And therefore, you can think about yourself that if you have a server with 100 cores and 10 gigabytes of RAM, and what would happen to the following scenarios? But there's 2 jobs, but requiring 50 cores and 5 gigs of memory each. What would happen? So here, because that kind of matches the resources that are available, you don't need to queue either of them. They'll run fine. If the 2 jobs where one requires 60 cores and the other 40 cores, again, that matches the available number of cores that are present. If both require 6 gigs, that means one will be run first and the other one will be run after that, because that exceeds the amount of RAM that's available. And then if you have 11 jobs, one requiring 99 cores and 10 requiring a single core, then most Slurm type systems will run these single core tasks first to get them completed before tackling the ones that require the 99 cores. So that initially all 100 cores are running fast, and then at the end they'll have 9 cores that are completing the remaining tasks. And then if there's one job with a single core, just 20 gigs of RAM required, that will run away very quickly. So what we're going to learn later in this course is how to write a bash script to submit a Slurm job. You'll use this sbash command to submit them to the queue. And you can specify your resources needed within the parameters of this sbash submission. Slurm will allocate the number of threads needed if you're not sure. And if you're not sure of the memory needed, Slurm will also assign you all the free memory within the node. So what we've learned on in this series of videos is how to log onto the server, how to transfer files, how to submit big jobs. And then in lab, we're going to talk about the organization of the server, more about the Unix commands, file editing and submission. What we're going to look at in the lab is more details on the server and the shell, how to navigate folders in the file system, how to use a range of different Unix commands, and how to use useful commands such as grep. That's all in part 1. And then in lab 2, we're going to look at more data wrangling and manipulation, how to edit a file, how to write a script in a shell using example ones that I'll give you, and then how to manage tasks with Slurm. So that will kind of cover things in detail in those two labs for you.